Navy laser creates plasma UFOs.
This is at least 4 years old. Remember I showed you that one YouTube video that one time that shows these little plasma things dancing in the air?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, find that. Find that video.
Yeah, that's almost describes that. They've created stuff to trick missiles and different homing devices. Not that that's what this is, but it's a potential explanation for what some of it is.
It's in the right neighborhood, at least.
I'll find that video, though.
So let's just say, first of all, this is where I would want a robust university system and a robust journalistic system to dig, because there's a lot you need to know that you could figure out that would tell us whether or not what we're looking at are really distant craft moving at tremendous speeds, or it's an optical illusion. Let me just give you an example. You'll probably have.
This is 10 years old.
Whoa.
Huh.
And they can do it in patterns like this in the air?
This is what they could do a long time ago. With
aliens.
What they're showing
So
on
they're
YouTube.
making a butterfly out of plasma bulbs in the air.
Huh.
Or plasma
That's pretty
balls.
good.
I've seen a few other
Pretty
things like that.
wild.
And pretty silent.
What? Oh, my God.
That's pretty good.
That's insane.
Oh, my God. Now make a
13 years
tic-tac.
old.
So a 3D display in midair using laser plasma technology. So if you were somewhere and you encountered these things, you would absolutely think these are alien craft from another dimension that's come here to communicate with you.
And imagine that you saw that outside.
Right.
You wouldn't necessarily know how far away the object was, and therefore you
course.
wouldn't necessarily know how fast it was moving. You'd misjudge it. And
Right.
to give everybody an example that they will have familiarity with, I was driving down the highway at one point, rainstorm, but the sun was shining, and I saw a rainbow. And I've thought a lot about rainbows. They're pretty interesting. And I realized that I could tell that although the rainbow looked to be 10 miles from me or something like that, it was actually feet from me. And I could tell that because the rainbow came down onto the road and I could see it in front of the guardrail. Right? Continuous rainbow where the parts up here look like they're closer to the mountains in the distance. But when I see where it's continued down into the spray off the road, it's actually 10 feet away. Right? So the mind is building a model of stuff, and if you give it the wrong cues, it'll totally misunderstand the distance that it's looking at. I mean, to the extent that a rainbow is at a distance, right?
Right, especially when you take into consideration a lot of these UFOs are in night skies. Yeah.
Right.
And so it's all black sky, or it's very difficult to gauge.
So if you had
Depth.
if you had a robust journalistic apparatus, what it would want to do is figure out, well, if person A was standing in location X and they saw a craft moving at what appeared to be 200 miles an hour at a distance of 5 miles, then the question is, well, who else would have seen it? And if we go and we ask people who were standing in those locations, did they see it at all? Because if they didn't, then maybe the thing was inches away from the person being projected locally, right? And they only felt like they saw something at a great distance.
So what is your take when you keep hearing all these congressional whistleblowers and people coming and talking about that we've been in contact and we have in our possession multiple craft that are not of this world? Like, what's all that?
Well, I'm going to share credit with Ben Davidson for this, but the basic point is PSYOP until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
And PSYOP until proven otherwise, I think, is a very functional way to approach this, because depending upon what kind of program we're looking at, and there obviously is governmental involvement in whatever it is, either concealing real stuff or pretending that it has real stuff that it's pretending to conceal or whatever it's doing.
Right.
There is every possibility that there are sort of layers of awareness, and at the bottom layer, there may not be anything alien at all. But it may be that people fairly close to the center have been shown something I mean, I don't understand what the purpose of any of this stuff is. Either talk to us about the aliens and when they started to visit and what it is they seem to want and whether they're still here and whether they're going to be back and whatever we know. That's what I would do. Any excuse that says the public can't handle it, I think, is just nonsense.
But isn't the problem if you've been let's pretend that there is a real crash retrieval program and there are real aliens. If we've been hiding it for so long, then it's very difficult to not hide it anymore. It's almost like kind of like being in the closet. Like, even though there's no reason to be in the closet in 2025, there's a lot of people that are still in the closet.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why they're in the closet is because, like, they were in the closet 20 years ago and they've been lying forever and they don't want to come out. So that's just a person with social consequences. Now imagine a government. So how are you funding these things? Were you lying to Congress? You have a crash retrieval program. How is that funded? Like, let me see your budget. Let me see where did you allocate the money? This is fraud. Okay, now you're getting into a situation where people can go to jail. There's perjury. There's people that have lied on the witness stand. So, like, if that's the case, then I understand why you would continue for your own personal benefit, just for your own personal protection, your own personal interest, to keep things secret from the American people. Then there's also the attitude that government does have. There's the infantilization of our people by the government. That's always been like they decide that malinformation is a thing. So what that is information that's true, but it could fuck you up. So we're going to say it's bad. It's bad information, even though it's accurate information. So this is like, you're a baby. You can't handle the truth. That's basically what that is. It's the government's version of it. Now, if that sort of attitude, which clearly persists throughout the entire federal government, wouldn't you apply that sort of thinking to something as powerful as an actual alien contact that we have been experiencing for decades and they've been lying about?
All right. Well, as long as we're just sort of fantasizing about wild stuff here,
Fun
imagine
times.
that Donald Trump were to be elected president for a second time and he was pissed off and he was to nominate Tulsi Gabbard for the director of national intelligence. And then she was only hours or at most days away from being confirmed by the Senate. Then when she gets in, presumably, she wouldn't have investment in all of those years of lying about this, and she might feel obligated to tell us and the public what the hell's going on.
Maybe we should edit that part out so she gets confirmed.
Yeah, we could. All right, fair enough.
Just kidding. We don't have to edit it out. But, yeah, that's the hope, right? The hope is she's a very honest person and a real patriot, and she would want people to know.